undermines the prestige of the school. But haters, Kim Kardashian is worth almost $2 billion and her Skims brand an estimated $3.2 billion. You might not like Kim or how she got her start in business, but the bank doesn't lie. This girl knows how to sell and she knows business. And I am so sick of trolls and haters dogging on her and her family. Guess what? They are this rich and successful because we the people watch, follow, and buy. Gonna hate, and Kim is gonna take it straight to the bank. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
We're executing a comprehensive strategy to secure our borders.
101.9 and 94.1.
He takes this very seriously when it comes to classified documents.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Bill O'Reilly here, and you can hear my no-spin commentary right here at 6:45 this evening. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
One of the news articles I found here, business leaders, big sweeping term, business leaders warn GOP's anti-trans proposals paint Missouri as backwards and bigoted.
Okay, somebody's echoing here. Yeah. That's okay. Yes.
No, it still deserve to be said twice. Yeah.
It does deserve to be asked twice.
You know, and here's some of this. Here's some of the things that are being proposed. Like I said, proposals expand existing child porn laws to ban children from being at drag shows. Mm-hmm. We talked about the sports thing as well. And, of course, the way the media writes this, listen to this. The laws, in their words, regulate competitive sports to prevent transgender girls from competing against other girls or women.
Yeah, the language is...
They picked a side, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
They picked a side on this, and they're wrong.
Yes.
I remember when I was still... very tail end of my actual career being a journalist as opposed to being full-time in talk and opinion and that sort of thing. And we got a note from the AP. I was working at a place that was a subscriber to the AP. They said, we've updated the standards. And that's when they said, whatever gender somebody says, that's now the correct thing to put in there. And that's when I knew that basically the Fourth Estate's lost.
Right.
At this point, because they have simply taken sides, and they've taken a side in a culture war. They've taken a side in a societal discussion. They've taken the side they've taken the side against truth.
Yeah.
Because when you're a journalist, you're supposed to tell the truth.
Right.
And they said, no, we're not going to tell the truth.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to be, I guess, as gentle as possible, you could, refer to them as gender dysmorphic
dysphoria,
or gender dysphoric, boys. Or gender dysphoric girls, however you want. You could use those terms. That would be correct. That would be the most correct way of doing it, and I guess the most kind way. Because otherwise, I'm just like, well, the wannabe. I mean, you could say wannabe boys, wannabe girls. I don't know. Let
me ask you this. And you guys may very well disagree with me on this, and I'm actually pretty sure my wife would disagree with me. I'm losing interest in being kind.
You know.
I'm not saying go bash anybody. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm losing interest in being kind.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think part of the problem is, if you are the kind one in the situation and the other person keeps smacking you in the face,
right?
At some point, you're going to lose patience. As somebody's like, okay, you know what? You want to fight? Then now we're going to fight.
Truth is not kind in this situation. And I'm not interested in continuing to try to soft pedal truth because I'm worried about what somebody thinks about me.
And I believe pushing back is what we need to do. Yeah. So I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. This media story here goes on to say, if the package of bills become law, doctors who provide puberty blockers, gender hormones, or transition surgeries to minors could lose their license, face lawsuits, and serve time in jail.
Good. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you want to do those things, I think you should still lose your license. Like, even if you didn't do it, but you want to, we should talk to you. We should have a discussion with you as well.
Get this. Quentin Lucas is the mayor of Kansas City, and he testified at this hearing against these laws. He says, and I'm quoting here, let me find it here. He says, I'm not quoting, I'm just reading the article here. Mayor Quentin Lucas told lawmakers on the committee that his city would have lost out on bringing the World Cup to Kansas City in 2026 if the state legislature had adopted restrictions against what they call transgender athletes.
So
How does he know that?
He doesn't know that. But soccer is the most LGBT friendly of all the sports. So that is possible. And my answer to that is I don't care. I understand tens of millions of dollars of revenue. At what price are we going to pay? At what price is our integrity? At what price what price are our children's bodies for sale?
Yeah.
And if it's tens of millions of dollars because of the World Cup's one stop in Kansas City in this case, is that the price that we're paying? Hopefully lawmakers are going to say, we don't care. If the World Cup pulls out, so be it.
Yeah, imagine there's any other sort of child mutilation criteria out there, or child mutilation practice that was growing in acceptability, and we said no, we're not going to do that here. We took a moral stance against child mutilation, and everyone is, and it's like, oh well, if you don't do business with us, we're if you don't do that, if you don't protect those things, we're not going to do business with you. Why would anybody stand for that? Why would anybody stand for any other sort of child mutilation? Why is this particular version of child mutilation supposed to be protected?
Oh, exactly. And the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce's Shannon Cooper. I did not see any references to the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce. I don't know where they stand on this, but the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce's Shannon Cooper is quoted in this article as saying, "There is a group of employees who won't come here because they think Missouri is a backwards and bigoted state." Well, I think that they are groomers, predators, and perverts. So we're even.
Yeah.
You can stay in California, and you can stay in New York, and you can stay in Illinois.
Yeah. Go F yourself. I mean, that's kind of where I am right now. It's like all of these people who say, "Oh, you're so transphobic." It's like, we're talking about children.
Yes.
Why would anybody accept the idea that children in any society should be chemically castrated, because that's what these puberty blockers do?
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Or physically mutilated when they cannot in any other context consent to anything? That's really what we're talking about. I mean, the reason we protect children is because they're not, their brains aren't formed enough. Their understanding of the world is not complete. That we have decided that people under the age of 18 have not reached the age of accountability for themselves, and we set up guardians for them. There's somebody there who has to make the decisions for you. If a child is not capable of making a radically life-changing decision, as having a chemical castration or physical mutilation that is irreversible done to them, why would we want to condone that in any way, shape, or form?
And none of these laws have anything to do with what adults are allowed to do.
Right.
None. And so the standard of saying, you know what, wait until you're of legal age, then do what you want, is not good enough. They must get children in this. And again, I'm going to point out and say, why is it so crucial that they recruit in children? Why is it so crucial that they encourage this in children? Why is it so crucial that they don't say, hey, when you're 18, then that's the time to make the decision on something permanent like what you're describing, Gabe. But still, when they insist on taking the battlefield to children, that's when everything changes, and that's why I say I'm not interested in being kind.
And the dichotomy that exists between what we're seeing here and, let's say, in a school. My wife taught for 35 years. I can't tell you how many times she came home and said, I had to get permission from the parent to give so-and-so an aspirin, much less any other type of medicine. They have to go through all this procedure just to do something simple like that, and then we let this stuff go on.
And I don't care if the parents consent. It should still be illegal on this.
Yeah, well, because we're talking about permanent
Absolutely.
changes to a kid's. sexual development.
Right.
I mean, that's really also what we're talking about, right? So then if a child is able to, quote unquote, consent to gender changes, why wouldn't they be considered capable of consenting to sexual contact? That's where the groomer stuff comes from. That's we see the direct line. We see where the slippery slope leads, and we're on the very end of that downslope, and we need to stop it. We need to grab the sides of the slide and say, no, I'm going back up. You remember doing that as a kid?
Oh, yeah. And again, I mean, I know we got to get you an information break, but we got time to get your thoughts on this. You agree or disagree? You think I'm hateful or whatever, then tell me. 314-912-1019. You think we're right? Tell us. 314-912-1019. But once again, for those of you who are in the legislature, and I know that some of them do listen to the show because they tell me that, you are not losing your seat.
Don't be scared. Please.
You're not losing any votes.
Please.
For saying we're not going to allow minors to be altered surgically or chemically in our state. You lose nothing. The public is with you. Even the Democrats who are more common sense and center left are with you on this. They won't say it, but you're not losing your seat if you stand up for this. So do the right thing.
And may I inject one other thing? I've seen videos on various platforms, the ones on YouTube from individuals who have regretted doing it, and they've grown up to be adults, and they say, gosh, that was a mistake that I had that done.
And their life
those
is
videos
destroyed.
are coming down. YouTube's pulling them down. I still see some of them on Rumble, thank goodness, and on some of the other platforms, but YouTube is pushing back and saying, oh, no, we can't have those on this platform.
Follow detransitioners on Twitter. Your eyes will really be open on that. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I think they're trying to attack the American people.
Live and local.
Gabe, Mike, Ken, you guys are my morning cup of mental coffee. I love the show. Definitely a convert from the old one.
This is News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley says he is planning to introduce legislation that would ban TikTok nationwide. Hawley announced his plans Tuesday morning via Twitter, saying TikTok is China's backdoor into Americans' lives, and it threatens our children's privacy as well as their mental health. A $13.6 million Metrolink Public Safety Center will be built at the Emerson Park stop in East St. Louis and is scheduled to be completed by February of 2024. The 16,000 square foot facility will house backup equipment for the Transit's Control Center, a new St. Clair County 911 dispatch unit, office space for the county sheriff's department, and a public bathroom. In the first of what could be multiple hearings on legislation to ban foreign companies from owning farmland in Missouri, the Missouri Association of Realtors and the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry signaled Tuesday they oppose the plans. One realtor lobbyist said they don't think it's the place of the government to get involved in private business transactions. The St. Louis Zoo announced Tuesday one of its jaguars had died. A 20-year-old female named Seba was suffering advanced stage renal failure and was humanely euthanized. Renal failure is common in aged cats, according to the Post. And the Blues fell to the Sabres 5-3 at Enterprise last night. The Blues now head to Phoenix to face the Coyotes tomorrow night. Puck drop is at 8 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Very slushy roads across the area this morning as temperatures are right around the freezing mark, but the snow will be shutting down mid-morning and conditions will improve rapidly through the mid-morning to late morning hours. And I think this afternoon's commute will just be a little bit wet. Temperatures will be above freezing today. We should make it into the mid-30s, maybe 36 or 37 by this afternoon, but turning colder overnight tonight with lows in the mid-20s and breezy and cold tomorrow with a high of 30 degrees, but a dry day. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Buckle up, Buttercup. What's new, fresh, and definitely shaking up the airwaves?
Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge presents the Definitely Holly Show.
Hi, this is Holly, a conservative millennial, and I am proud to be the newest member of the News Talk STL family. Every Saturday, we tackle controversial and hot topics and what's going on in our local community.
The Definitely Holly Show.
This Saturday evening at 5
on News Talk STL.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
I didn't think it was possible to meet someone like Susan. We just clicked after realizing we each have a strong sense of self and share the same core values in life.
After taking our advanced personality test, Daniel and Susan matched on Silver Singles, the secure dating site for 50-plus singles who know what they want. Sign up today at silversingles.com/romance. That's silversingles.com/romance.
Paid actors representing true customer testimonials. Names have been changed.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I don't want to get myself in trouble here at the station, but can I tell you how uncomfortable I am with that last commercial? It's not because it's a dating site. I have no issues with that. It was like the secured site for singles over 50, and the way that the music, every way it was framed, it was like people in a nursing home.
Yeah, silver
over
singles.
50. I'm 51.
Yeah. Makes you feel weird, doesn't it?
Yes. That's I don't like that.
Stop making me feel old, commercial.
No kidding. All right, rant over. It is coming up on 7:37. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell. Florida hits a new record for the amount of people moving into the state over the course of 1 year. Fox Business Network's Ashley Webster reports he's actually in Clearwater.
More than 64,000 New Yorkers traded in their New York driver's license last year for a Florida license, and that, by the way, is a new record. Remarkable. Many people have told me since I've been here that the best real estate agent in the entire country is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He has a habit of attracting people to this state at a record pace. People from all walks of life coming here for all of the same reasons in many respects, especially the pro-business attitude here. It's not surprising. California, by the way, when you look at the latest statistics from U-Haul, is the #1 state that people are leaving from.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about Ron DeSantis. The left is getting very, very scared of Ron DeSantis. And now you see, we talk about the media malpractice, the way they're referring to the education reforms regarding CRT and some of the others. What's true and what's not. Jeff Charles from redstate.com going to be with us in just about 20 minutes to clear up fact from fiction. All right, real quick, just in one of the recent information breaks, Gabe and I kind of stuck our heads outside. We didn't have time for a snowball fight, but the snow, at least in downtown St. Louis, seems to be, it was tapering off. Let me look back there right now. Yeah, so the snowfall is tapering off at the moment.
The snowflakes are smaller, basically.
Yeah.
The pace is still pretty good.
Yeah, but it's still falling.
Yeah.
So it's still out there. So, if your roads are cleared, then great, but they're going to have to come through and clear them from time to time. So not exactly a snowmageddon, but still enough to cause some problems out there. So, just be careful.
Yeah, take it a little slower than normal.
Yeah, just basic common sense.
Not quite 80 like usual.
No. I found myself in the morning being that guy. It's like, why are you going 60 on the highway? As I'm going past a sign that says speed limit 60.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you doing that? It's 3 in the morning.
There's nobody here.
Come on. All right. Okay, so this update to the situation regarding these teenagers who were not charged with crimes after police say they shot at them, and it turns out other people. This was apparently an exchange of gunfire between them and some other criminals, suspected, allegedly criminals, because I have to say allegedly.
You got to say it.
And that also ended up shooting at police. So the 22nd Judicial Court is pushing back against the police statement, and they're saying that the court has determined that both the St. Louis City Family Court's intake staff and the police officers did not follow outlined procedures. I can only, as I'm listening to the back and forth, or I'm reading the back and forth on this. Sounds like a lot of excuse making.
Okay.
According to the statement by their spokesperson, Joel Currier, and I'm looking at KMOV's article on this, the police did not bring them to juvenile court for detention. No juvenile legal officer or judge was contacted regarding the incident. However, they do apparently acknowledge that it has become common practice for the police to call the intake staff, basically the people who are going to process. And what was said in that situation remains up for debate. The police said, we were told to let them go and give them back to their parents, and the court isn't saying a lot about that. So Public Safety Department spokesman Monty Chambers said in a statement given to KMOV that there needs to be a formalized communication. Here's the statement. SLMPD, St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, officers followed long-standing precedent when calling the family court's intake staff to report apprehended juveniles, just as the family court's intake staff followed long-standing precedent by telling officers to release them to their parents. Saturday's incident emphasizes the need to formalize the new communication and intake procedures discussed by the court and the SLMPD in recent weeks. The city first reached out to the 22nd Circuit Court last year to discuss gaps in communication and looks forward to formalizing an official procedure in the days ahead to prevent miscommunication and ensure better outcomes. By the way, as of last night, there are no criminal charges filed against these juveniles in juvenile court or any other for shooting, allegedly, at police officers. One with a fully automatic altered gun. By the way, the police did keep the guns. They did get those. So here's the deal. You're shooting at somebody, anybody, especially police officers, take them to jail.
Yes.
How about that?
Absolutely.
And then if the court wants to call and say, release them from jail, their parents are on the way, but get them cuffed and stuffed in the car and take them to jail.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's not as though we're talking about kids who were picked up shoplifting at the mall.
Right.
We're not talking about kids who were found loitering someplace because they decided to use the front of a business as a skate park. That's not what we're talking about here. Breaking curfew. We're talking about a shootout with police after a shootout with each other. At that point, it doesn't matter what the longstanding precedent is, even if it is to say, oh, release them to their parents. If I'm on the other side of that line and they say, yeah, we caught these kids, they were shooting at us. This guy had at that point, I'm saying, okay, well, precedent be damned. We're not releasing them to their parents. What's the next step? That's where you go with that. Who was it who made the call? Because I want to know their name. Honestly, at this point, it's like, come on.
Sometimes I'm amazed at the breakdown in the judicial system, the incompetence of the judicial system.
Because what we've got now is finger pointing in the media. Fingers pointing at each other. I'm thinking, great. You've got a crime problem plague, violent crime problem, because police now are saying they believe that these juveniles were involved in a string of car break-ins. So we hear about a lot of these. They think that this might be some. Where are those kids right now? Who knows?
Yeah. Where's the chief on this? I mean, I know we have a new chief. I know this is very much a trial by fire situation.
Yep.
But I have not heard word one from him, and that's disappointing.
He was in a hearing, and he was on a call with the Board of Aldermen yesterday.
Okay.
It was still a lot of, we're going to build those bridges, we're going to build those resources. Okay, I'm still going to say he's in a window of a little bit of a grace period here because he's just starting off, but you got to stand up for your guys and gals in the blue, in the uniforms, and you've got to start calling out those who aren't doing their part. Your officers caught them and arrested them, and they say told to let them go. Nobody is saying that didn't happen. They're just saying, well, the procedures weren't followed. They didn't take them out of detention, but they do acknowledge that this is how it's been done for a long time. So when your police officers catch the people who were literally shooting at other human beings, then when they don't get prosecuted, no charges are filed, which we're now going on 3-4 days, no charges filed.
Yeah, still.
None at this point. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe we'll get enough of a backlash that somebody feels the need to do something. Charge them in juvenile court. We're never going to know their names because they're juveniles. Okay, fine. But lock them up until they're 21 or something.
Were we at least informed, or were they at least informed as to what their names are and where they live, so that if they have to follow up, they can get to them?
An incident report was written.
Okay, so we can serve a warrant to get them.
In theory, yes.
In
assuming
theory.
they've got all the right information.
So why isn't one issued already? Why aren't they in handcuffs?
Don't know.
Why are people who are willing to shoot at other people off the streets?
Because it's St. Louis City.
And there you
That's
have
your
it.
answer.
Yep.
Stell, it's because it's St. Louis City.
And I go back to the issue. Hey, are we a week out from the Social Security building shootout thing that happened? Well, it wasn't a shootout, but the gal, Jada.
A little more than that, yeah.
And I'm not trying to blame the police chief here because I know he's new on the job, but we pushed back on Pothole Pete Buttigieg not making any statements regarding all of the supply chain issues and everything else and all the stuff going on in ports around the country and all the other transportation issues. Very little coming from him. And now we've got a local issue where we're hearing very little from the police chief. And I think he should be coming out and saying something. It's been over a week. I know you're new on the job, but you should be sort of settled in by now. And someone should be encouraging you, hey, you need to make a statement regarding what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, your new guy grace period gets shorter and shorter the higher up you go in the ranks. When you're a chief or when you're in charge of stuff, where you're basically the one who gets to call the shots, that new guy grace period needs to be tiny. It's like a week. You got a week. You get your intake, get your email set up. Now go and talk about something. Go do something.
And it's not like he's new on the job per se. He's got years of experience in other cities. So he should be totally on board, getting right on track with these issues and putting out a statement.
Chief, we want to support you. We're on your
Yes.
side.
Yes, please.
So, help us help you by getting out there and saying what everybody is thinking and what everybody is actually saying, that there has to be a more aggressive prosecution. You've got to keep the bad guys off the street. And if you say, well, it's only 24 hours, this 24 hours, they couldn't have hurt somebody else. All right. 314-912-1019. Jeff Charles from redstate.com going to be with us at 8:05. Let's sift out the fact from fiction when the media goes after somebody like Ron DeSantis for saying, you know what, this propaganda in schools, that's a no-go around here. But they're saying he doesn't want them to teach black history.
That's not quite the case.
Yeah, not quite.
Not quite.
You know, it's a little different.
Nuance.
Yep. 8:05. We're going to have that conversation right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Wednesday, join Chris, Katie, and I for a splendidly snowy hump day. We'll have Mike Ferguson, and we'll talk more about Mar-a-Lago.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
It's Proctor spelled like doctor for custom window fabrics and shutters. Upgrade or start from scratch. Either way, Michael is the St. Louis expert. Check him out at proctordrapery.com and then call Proctor spelled like doctor for shutters, shades, and draperies.
Proctor Drapery, the best in town. No finer window fashion can be found. Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson here. Everybody here at News Talk STL is incredibly grateful for the growth of our business during our first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Clear Path Wealth Management, STL Fence Works, and Michael's Flooring that have all become advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. Thanks for listening to News Talk STL. Welcome home.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
follow us on Getter at News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Kentucky woman, she shines in her own kind of light. She looks at you once in a day, what's wrong?
I'm going to put you guys on the spot here.
Okay.
Okay, I did not warn Gabe and Stell I'm asking this question. You don't get to think about it.
All right,
just
coming
give
up
me your
cold.
answer.
All right.
Gabe, how long can you go without looking at your phone or using your phone?
0.5 seconds.
Okay, Stell, how long can you go without you using or looking at your phone?
I'll go with 20 seconds, but my wife will say 5.
There's a survey out that says how long can we go without our phone? The people who responded say,
Oh gosh,
From their phone.
Yeah,
they responded from their phone.
5 hours and 11 minutes.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
You know what? They're counting sleep. And that should not count.
Average person now says they could only go 5 hours and 11 minutes without their phone before they'd start going nuts.
Yeah, they're counting sleep.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
I do have to say, though, from our perspective, it's a little bit different because we're involved in media and news, so we're constantly looking for stuff, and it's kind of ingrained in us.
Yeah.
All right, we got to check on stuff, see what's going on.
It's work.
My News Talk STL email address is on my phone exclusively. My American Viewpoints, my syndicated show, that's on my laptop. But my radio station email is on my phone. But now I can actually go. There are times I get so sick of the phone, I will leave it upstairs. But it's funny because it never fails. As soon as I leave my phone upstairs, because I'm tired of it, I'm looking at it. I mean, I will find myself looking at those stupid Facebook Reels videos and realize I've spent 30 minutes on them.
Oh, man, it's so engrossing.
And then I'm like, I'm done with this, and I will plug it in upstairs, and I'll walk downstairs and just walk away from it and do something else. And I like that time away from it, but 5 hours, no. I would be like, I'm missing something. What if there's a guest trying to get on the show? What if there's somebody trying to get back to me?
And you know, you mentioned that, but I bet folks have different items that interest them. You mentioned those reels. Other folks go to TikTok. I don't do either of those, but I go to news sources and I'm looking stuff up.
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok because I think the reels come from TikTok, but they're on Facebook.
Yeah,
that's where I see them. So people also said they could only go about 5 hours without access to a TV. Now, I'm totally different on that. I can go days without watching TV.
Same here.
And I do. I regularly do not watch any television at all. But there are a few other gadgets people say they could go without longer. They say they could go 3 days without a laptop. Well, because everything's on your phone.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, I think that's kind of a moot point. And so the poll found that the average adult in America uses their phone for about 3.5 hours a day. So head down, look at the phone 3.5 hours a day. Now that time frame is important. Remember the time frame.
Okay.
So 38% of people say they feel totally disconnected without their phone in their hand. 38%.
Wow.
I wonder what the demo is for that, the age demo, but go ahead.
Yeah. 27% say they feel isolated. 25% say if they don't have their phone, they immediately feel lonely.
Oh, no.
We're actually into mental health, affecting mental and emotional health in this situation right here. But here's another one I found. Remember that 3.5 hours that we just found in this one survey?
Right.
There's another one that says people need another 4 hours a day to get everything done to keep up with just life.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold the phone. Literally.
I was going to say, yeah. 60% of Americans say there aren't enough hours in the day to get everything done. The average person needs 4 more hours. They need 28 hours a day to get everything done. Well, just remember, we spend 3.5 hours a day staring at our stupid phones.
Yeah, that's it. That's where it's all going. I mean, honestly.
And I get that for a lot of people, it's like, well, I have to do this for my work, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, to some degree, but most of the time I'm on my phone. I'm probably in there, you know, a couple hours a day on the phone, and I would bet that if I tracked where I was, an inordinate amount of that time is going to be on, for instance, some of those videos on Twitter. Now, I find a lot of news sources through all of those, but we talked about the algorithms. Gabe and I were talking about that a little bit earlier. in some ways, I'm like, oh, it makes sense that they're targeting me with these, but other ones I'm going, I don't understand why I'm getting those. And it's not just on your phone. It's on, like, for instance, I have an Amazon Fire TV in my office. And it got so bad, the suggestions for me, because it's connected to your Amazon account, which is connected to everything else. So demographics, everything's in there. At one point, they were like, suggested for you. It was nothing but like busty girls. And I'm like, I'm not watching to the point where I'm like, Rachel, please come in here and look at this.
Right.
I'm like, I don't watch this stuff. I am telling you, this is not what I'm. I mean,
Right.
listen.
Look at the history.
Look at the history.
These things aren't there.
Yeah, she'll look at the history and she'll like, gosh, I married a geek. But and I will
your
listen,
actual history.
Yeah, an attractive woman. Listen, attractive woman's going to catch my eye just like any other guy.
Yeah.
Okay, but for some reason they're pushing those on there on those reels. Yes, I get the big cats and the animals. I get a lot of baseball. That's not going to surprise me. I get a lot of rock music, and then I get like all of a sudden yesterday I get like 10 belly dancer.
Right.
But I don't look at. I don't care about belly dancing.
Did you go to a Greek restaurant or something?
Not since Momo's.
You're right. They used to have belly dancers.
They used to have belly dancers.
Yes.
And boy, that was an experience.
Yeah.
Rachel and I were on a date, and I did not know how to act when the belly dancer came out.
That is awkward.
It was really awkward, and I think Rachel actually got a real kick out of it because I'm like, I just don't want to mess up here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what the right answer is, but I know there's a lot of wrong answers.
Yeah.
Why do you keep staring at your food? Well, I'm just trying to.
I know
it's
quite these olives are very fascinating.
This tzatziki is amazing.
But I think it's absolutely the algorithm targeting your demographics, and I think and those things they push certain things really hard, and I always wonder, where are they trying to push society with these things? Because like you said, you're not going for those videos, but those videos are coming for you.
And I'm not one of those. There's like, oh my goodness, there's a scene of nudity in a movie. I'm never watching that. You can have that in context. I'm not real legalistic. For some people that could be very bad for them personally. Other people you can whatever. And so I'm not. You're not
particularly touchy about that.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Rachel's not touchy about it. I mean, if a butt cheek pair jumps up on the screen, it's just not a big thing for us. We don't care. Now, if it's gratuitous and it's gross and it's stupid, we're going to go like, okay, that's enough. Because we've stopped watching a couple things. We're like, there's no point to that.
Right.
If it's not part of the plot. By the way, top 5 chores you could do if you had those other 4 hours, just real quick here, that we just don't seem to get down to. You could take that bag of Kanye apparel to Goodwill. Finally get that out the door. You could actually return those documents to the National Archives. If we just had more time in the day, we could do all those things.
I feel attacked.
All right. Talking to Jeff Charles from RedState.com just ahead on these accusations against Ron DeSantis.
When it's important to you,
stay informed.
It's on News Talk STL.
They knew this has happened before the election, but they kept it a secret.
They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas.
I'm suspicious of the timing of it.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Things can be planted and then discovered conveniently.
In Biden's case, his attorneys reported the discovery.
The exact opposite of Donald Trump's behavior.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
What's your favorite high school sports memory? A late inning rally? A game-winning shot? A photo finish? Maybe it's a pep rally or a pregame ritual. Maybe it's the euphoria of a late-night bus ride home after a hard-fought win. Maybe it's having pizza with teammates after the game. Now, imagine if it never happened at all. School sports need your help. With budgets getting tighter, it's more than the games that are on the line. It's all the traditions, the community pride, the culture of your hometown high school. Plus, all those memories that are on the line, too. What can you do? It's simple. Buy a ticket when you can. Go to a game. Take the whole family. Let's do everything we can to keep those cherished school sports memories alive.
This message presented by the Missouri State High School Activities Association and the Missouri Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Offers an opportunity to bond and give thanks, quite like breaking bread together. This is especially true as we welcome our troops back home and keep those who are still stationed overseas in our hearts. Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Since 2011, the Gary Sinise Foundation's Serving Heroes program has shown gratitude to our nation's defenders and their families by serving up nearly 500,000 hearty classic American meals at travel hubs and military locations. And now, together with our friends at Bob Evans Farms and their Our Farm Salutes program, we will help to provide even more meals nationwide, offering our defenders a taste of home and the feeling of togetherness around the table. Help us show America's gratitude through food and fellowship. Look for the Bob Evans Our Farm Salutes purple packaging at your grocery store and visit ourfarmsalutes.com to learn more. While we can never do enough to support the men and women who serve, together we can make a difference, bite by bite.
Parents, did you know we all hold the key to raising confident, caring children? All we have to do is unlock the power of praise. Catching kids being good is at the heart of every parenting strategy you'll find at boystown.org/parenting. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, or guardian of a toddler, teen, or someone in between, we've got parenting guides, articles, videos, quick tips, and even live parent talks on Facebook with Boys Town experts.
So we're constantly investing in praising children and finding those opportunities. And it really helps them to have that self-affirmation and that positive thinking. And then that really reduces their negative behavior.
The answer to discipline is praise. Isn't that lovely?
Who would have thought it?
Visit boystown.org/praise to receive your 10 Ways to Praise magnet. It's a great reminder to catch them being good, and that great parenting advice is just a click away.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Very slushy roads across the area this morning as temperatures are right around the freezing mark, but the snow will be shutting down mid-morning and conditions will improve rapidly through the mid-morning to late morning hours. And I think this afternoon's commute will just be a little bit wet. Temperatures will be above freezing today. We should make it into the mid-30s, maybe 36 or 37 by this afternoon, but turning colder overnight tonight with lows in the mid-20s and breezy and cold tomorrow with a high of 30 degrees, but a dry day. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Because that's where the votes are getting stolen. When you get into the facts and logic and reason thing, it drives me crazy because you're right. I call it the oh my God virus.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up! Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Just a quick note before we talk to Jeff Charles from RedState.com here. Our Rumble stream is really growing. So if you've got a smart TV at the house, you want local coverage here, local talk, just put us up and we'll be your morning show.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
do it. The Rumble app is really easy to find on any of the smart TVs. That app is really fun, easy to find. It took me, I think, 30 seconds to download it and just look up News Talk STL. We're also streaming on Facebook, and Mike Ferguson in the morning is on YouTube as well for now. I suspect they'll throw us off again at
eventually.
That's going to happen. So
Yeah.
Rumble's where it's at. It is 8:06 right now. I want to be accurate. I got Gabe Pfeiffer here. It's Del Ponticus here. Have you noticed that when it comes to education, that the media is sometimes not 100% accurate or acting in good faith?
What?
I know that's a bold statement.
What?
I know. I'm saying it. It happens. Look at what's going on in Florida right now. Ron DeSantis leads the state government, leads the legislature into a lot of reforms in education. The teachers' unions, angry. But also, so are a whole lot of social justice warrior activists. And the AP, among other media outlets just this past week, are saying that Ron DeSantis is outlawing the teaching of Black history, among other things, and outlawing curriculum for Black and other minority children.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what's happening.
Right. Jeff Charles wrote an article on that at redstate.com, and that's what I spotted. And he joins us right now to talk about why are these lying liars pretending Ron DeSantis is trying to erase Black history. Jeff, great to chat with you again. It's been a while since you've been on, so Happy New Year. First time we talked to you in the new year. So what is it that Ron DeSantis led the state government there to actually do as compared to what he's being accused of?
Yeah, Happy New Year to you guys, too. So basically, the College Board, which is the organization that creates a lot of curriculum, they also administer the SAT test, they had developed this African-American Studies course, and they kept a lot of it secret. They didn't let all the details out. But when they submitted it to Florida, they rejected it under the Stop Woke Act, because it was essentially indoctrination. It had a lot of Marxist leanings. It was teaching queer theory. It was teaching a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily have to do with African American studies. And the main problem is that it had a very distinct Marxist far leftist bent. So they rejected it, and they didn't reject it outright. They said, we need you to retool some of this stuff and then submit it again, and then we'll accept it. So what the media is trying to do, saying that Ron DeSantis is trying to ban Black history, is actually ridiculous, because the Stop Woke Act actually mandates the teaching of Black history. It's in the text of the legislation. But what they do is they count on the fact that people don't read that stuff, so they just believe, oh, Ron DeSantis is banning Black history. No, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I say this as somebody who has some problems with the Stop Woke Act, but banning Black history is not one of them.
Good morning, Jeff. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So one of my problems with this is that, yes, this is the kind of the go-to. They always say, well, he's trying to ban this good thing and he's trying to stop this good thing. It doesn't matter what their legislation is, either coming out of the DeSantis administration or any other Republican. But how effective is it still? Is it still something that we're not be able to get around, or and what's the remedy to get around these things?
education, exposing the truth. It's the same thing that they did with the Parental Rights and Education Bill, which basically just said you can't instruct kids under 7 years old about gender identity and sexuality. But then they called it the Don't Say Gay Bill. And a lot of people bought into that. Now, as time went on, when they did more polling and people actually learned what was actually in it, you found that even Democratic voters were on board with the law. The same thing can happen here, although it's going to be a little bit harder. But I think that exposing the actual truth, telling people what's actually in the law and the actual reasons why it was rejected, that will go a long way towards it. But the activist media is very effective at spreading their lies. So even after the truth is revealed, a lot of people will still believe the lie.
Jeff, this is Stel here in the studio. Can I ask you to delineate a little bit on this Florida situation? Because I had understood that this was an advanced placement course different than the other courses that deal with Black history. Am I mistaken on that?
No, you're not. This is an advanced placement course. I believe it's for older high school kids.
Okay.
So it is an advanced placement course, and it's also African American studies, which isn't necessarily African American history. There is a difference. African American studies includes a lot of other factors. They delve into economics, culture, and stuff like that. With this particular curriculum, they were using material from people who are proponents of critical race theory, people who are Marxists. And honestly, I'll tell you right now, I actually don't have a problem with that. If we're talking about older high school kids, this is when they can start learning how to think critically. The issue is that you didn't see anything from Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass, Walter E. Williams, any other thinkers that had a different point of view so that the students can think critically and think, okay, maybe this person's right or maybe this person's right. No, it's completely one-sided. So in this case, it's pretty obvious that they're not trying to teach these children how to think or how to think critically. They're trying to teach them what to think.
We're visiting with Jeff Charles from redstate.com, and you go to Red State. The article is called "Why Are These Lying Liars Pretending Ron DeSantis is Trying to Erase Black History?" Okay, I'm glad you just said that, because that's actually where I was going with my next question is, was it a matter of, not allowing the topic of, Black studies, Black history, Black anything to be involved, or is it a matter of simply not allowing other perspectives? You could put in Thomas Sowell, obviously, in addition to all those other names that you just talked about as well. And so we're not talking about the law outlawing the discussion. Does the law require more balance, or is it just saying you can't touch this because you're biased?
Well, the law does say that you can't basically teach that a person is inferior or superior based on their color of skin, or that they have certain attributes based on skin color. Now, I'm not sure if this curriculum actually did that. I saw some of that behind the scenes, but I think the main issue was that it was putting stuff in there that wasn't as relevant, like for instance, Governor DeSantis brought up queer theory. Well, I mean, that's not really an integral part of Black history. It's a part of it, but again, it was being more used to indoctrinate because it didn't have any other opposing views. I mean, teaching about the Marxism is fine because there was a period in time where a lot of people jumped onto that, like W.E.B. Du Bois and some others. But they're making it appear as if the history of Black or African American studies is about Marxism and overthrowing capitalism and all these other Marxist ideas. There was no counter view. So it was pretty clear what these people are trying to do.
Yeah, Jeff, you mentioned that there were some things about the law that you're not in agreement with. Could you mention those? I'm curious.
I'm not crazy about it applying to private corporations, private entities, because I don't believe that the government should be interfering in that. Now, if there's a business that is discriminating on basis of race, and that can be argued, then maybe that there can be a case there. But other than that, I mean, a company can have Marxist views on race and talk about that with their employees. If you don't like it, you can go work somewhere else. You can blast them on social media. You can report them to the BBB, whatever it is you want to do. I'm not comfortable with using the government in that aspect. But when it comes to public institutions, then that does make more sense, because the government shouldn't necessarily be espousing one political point of view.
Jeff, my experience has been, obviously, if the teachers' unions and the administrators are throwing a fit over something, somebody's on the right track. Does this show any signs of being effective in sort of at least allowing a multitude of ideas back into education?
Hopefully, I mean, I'm not as optimistic as I would like to be, but I mean, the College Board did say that they're going to do some revisions. They're going to revamp some of it, and they're going to resubmit it and they're saying it's because they were going to do it anyway, but we all know it's because Florida rejected it. So that's a good sign. But realistically, if we want to change the way things are taught in school, we need to rethink our whole school system. We need to rethink who we're allowing on school boards, who we're electing. We also need to really be pushing school choice as a step in the right direction. And fortunately, I am seeing a lot of that across the country. It is National School Choice Week. Iowa just passed some very crucial school choice legislation. We're going to see that here in Texas as well, I believe, and in other states also. The idea is one of the solutions is allowing parents to choose how and where their children are educated rather than leaving that up to the state.
Yeah, that provides a market incentive to get better and to be more reflective of what should be appealing to parents anyway, which is a good education now that we know there's so much indoctrination happening.
Yes, and indeed. And I think that a lot of parents are going to exercise those options. We've already been seeing it, especially with rates of homeschooling. They've been soaring. And here in Texas, it's one of the easiest places to homeschool. And people over the COVID pandemic, one of the silver linings is that parents realize, oh, maybe this isn't as hard as I thought it was. So when parents are able to exercise other options, that will kind of strike a blow to the monopoly that the government has over education. And I think that ultimately that's going to be a net positive.
Jeff, when you look at kind of the vitriol and the framing, the misframing of what's happening in Florida on education, is this because the Republicans and Ron DeSantis are striking kind of at the heart of a sacred cow of the left, which is their dominance of public education? Is it a matter of they're worried about Ron DeSantis in 2024? Is it a combination? Is it something else?
The answer is yes. Because, I mean, just look at it pragmatically. This stuff does work very well for Ron DeSantis, who is widely believed to be throwing his hat in the ring for president at some point. So, yes, politically, this is great for him. But the other side of it is, I mean, they've been trying to they've been getting their claws into education for decades. We're just now catching up. We just realized what they were doing when COVID hit. So, I mean, if they want to turn out a new generation of left-wing activists or left-leaning people, you got to start with the schools. These people play the long game. They don't think short-term like a lot of us on the right tend to do sometimes. They know that this is going to take time, and if they can get the schools and keep them, then it'll be a lot easier for them to get the support and power that they need later on.
DeSantis seems to be hitting the Democrats right where they live so often, but he's using government power to do so. Is this the way for conservatives to go, or should we be a little more considerate about using power this way?
Our objective should be to roll back the state as much as possible, to limit the government as much as possible so that it can't be used by a weapon by either side. There are times where it's warranted, like with public schools, those are government schools. So in that case, it's okay for us to push them to change certain things that we don't like. I don't like the idea of using the government to basically make that government stronger, because we think we're going to hit our enemies with it. What we're not realizing is that once they have control of that government, it's going to be used right back against us. All right. I think the best tool is to unload the gun rather than just making it more powerful.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, you can find Jeff's work at redstate.com. Just Google search, Red State search, or Jeff Charles, and you're going to find his articles, including Why Are These Lying Liars Pretending Ron DeSantis is Trying to Erase Black History. Hey, Jeff, always appreciate you being on the show, man. You can find him at Jeff on the Right on Twitter, and where else?
You can find me at libertynation.com. My podcast is A Fresh Perspective with Jeff Charles, and you can follow me on Twitter at Jeff on the Right.
All right, great. Jeff, we'll talk to you again soon, I hope.
Thank you.
All right.
Look forward to it.
314-912-1019. I love how you put that. We need to unload the gun instead of weaponize. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. All right, 314-912-1019. Got some updates on some local and some national news, including a friend of this radio station deciding he's throwing his hat in the ring for another political office. I'll tell you who and what that's all about just ahead. And another former Cardinal being enshrined in Cooperstown. Pretty cool story here. It's all just ahead on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
You have a soul so dark it is no more. And all at once depart.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo inviting you to join me for a great show coming to Westport Playhouse for 2 consecutive nights, February 3rd and 4th. The Retro Nerds present a tribute to Sting and Peter Gabriel. Support local music and come see a great show at the beautiful, newly reopened Westport Playhouse. Enjoy the music of Sting and Peter Gabriel on both Friday and Saturday night, February 3rd and 4th, brought to you by Amicus Wealth Partners. Get more info and your tickets now at westportplayhouse.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The great Larry Connors.
Thank you. And then, by the way, everybody at the poker room's asking about you. They miss your money.
Second person to say it that way. Not my company. They miss my money.
Well, people are going hungry.
I'm hanging up the playing cards, Larry. It comes to a point when you realize you just don't have it.
I'll teach you.
Okay.
It'll cost you.
Yeah, of course. Right. More about taking money.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Fox News commentary.
Kim Kardashian gave a talk at Harvard, and now both her and the university are getting dragged for it. I'm Tommy Lahren, and my surprising take is next.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Business school alongside her Skims co-founder, and now the Peanut Gallery is ripping not only Kim but the Ivy League University for inviting, saying a lecture from someone like Kim undermines the prestige of the school. But haters, Kim Kardashian is worth almost $2 billion, and her Skims brand an estimated $3.2 billion. You might not like Kim or how she got her start in business, but the bank doesn't lie. This girl knows how to sell, and she knows business. And I am so sick of trolls and haters dogging on her and her family. Guess what? They are this rich and successful because we, the people, watch, follow, and buy. Gonna hate, and Kim is gonna take it straight to the bank. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, a lot going on here news-wise. More classified documents discovered. This one, if you haven't heard already.
At Walmart?
At this point, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, because if you haven't heard already, you may be surprised where these were. Also, Missouri lawmakers, they're getting involved in protecting children from grooming. I'll tell you about that. And also, a former Cardinal is going to have his career enshrined in Cooperstown. This is really cool. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. It is 8:23. All right, let's go to the classified document story right away here, and then we'll get into it in more depth at 8:35. Another classified documents discovery, this time not at Joe Biden's place. Fox News' David Spunt has the latest.
We're learning of classified documents found at the Indiana home of former Vice President Mike Pence. A Pence attorney confirms to Fox News about a dozen classified documents were found inside Pence's Indiana home last week, and both the Justice Department and FBI are reviewing that material. Part of the review includes finding out how and why those documents made it to Indiana. No special counsel investigating Mike Pence.
Okay, at least not yet, but should there be? And at 8:35, I think let's ask that question at that point, Stel, is should there be, just to be consistent, if nothing else, with the other cases?
I think so, and probably they should call them the Pence papers.
The Pence papers.
There you
Something
go.
like that.
We have the Biden documents. Mm-hmm. We don't really have like a hashtag for the Mar-a-Lago Trump.
No,
ones.
no.
I don't
yeah,
think so.
It's But yeah, Pence papers, Biden documents. Yeah, I think that sounds good. So
All right.
8:35. Let's dive into that. Missouri State Legislature getting a late start today because of the weather. Joey Vosovich is reporting that. One of the things that they were debating yesterday has to do with banning the chemically altering and even surgical altering of children in Missouri. And at least one of the big chambers of commerce in Missouri, the mayor of the largest city, Kansas City, media all over the state, especially St. Louis, speaking out against it. St. Louis Children's Hospital, a special interest group at this point, speaking out against this. Well, it's really sick, demented stuff. And so hopefully Republicans will hold strong. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Other news stories a little bit locally here because I want to try to get all these. Voters in Manchester and in an adjacent unincorporated area next to Manchester in St. Louis County.
Okay.
They're going to decide later this year whether or not to annex that area into Manchester. So
Oh, wow.
will
Okay.
Manchester grow by about 6,500 people and a piece of a business district out there?
Mhm.
That election is going to happen in November. Basically, the commission set up by the county to study the boundary stuff and all that, they voted to put it on the ballot. This is probably going to be the only thing on the ballot. And it'll affect Manchester, but there actually is a November election in 2023. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens because apparently some of the businesses there, pretty high revenue. I know at least one dispensary is in that area.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that, but there's 6,500 people right now that aren't under any city government.
Right.
So if they vote to annex, all of a sudden they're in under all the city ordinances and everything that goes with it. But then again, they also have access to more services from the city. So it's a balancing act, and they'll have to decide what to do.
We'll see.
I got the word last night that St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder, good friend of the show, obviously, good friend of News Talk STL, he is planning to run for state senate in 2024.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
So Mark's going to be running for the 15th district seat that is currently held by Andrew Koenig. Andrew Koenig is going to be term limited out the end of this year. So lest you think that Mark is trying to go after one of the good guys to kick him out, that is not the case because the good guy is getting kicked out by term limits.
Right.
So Mark is putting his hat in the ring, which announcing that he's going to run this early is a signal to other potential candidates saying, hey, this is who's in the race. Think twice before you decide to do that. It's a very sound political strategy for Mark Harder. So I'm sure we're going to talk to Mark sooner rather than later. So we'll get the update on that. In addition to what's happening with the St. Louis County government, because we got a whole mess there. Thank God that Mark and now Dennis Hancock are there to have a little bit of common sense to try to hold everybody else accountable right there.
Yep.
All right, third baseman. Remember this name, Scott Rowland.
Yes, indeed.
Scott Rowland, former St. Louis Cardinal, only the 18th third baseman in history to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Fox News' Eric Messersmith has the story.
Rowland was the lone player selected when the voting results were revealed Tuesday night on MLB Network.
He burst onto the scene as the 1997 National League Rookie of the Year and would go on to win 8 Gold Glove Awards and make 7 All-Star teams. A lifetime .281 hitter and 2002 National League Silver Slugger, he clubbed 316 home runs with a career OPS of .855.
Joining Rowland in the 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony this summer will be slugger Fred McGriff. The crime dog was selected to the Hall by a special committee last month. Todd Helton fell 11 votes short of induction, but will be back on the ballot next year. I'm Eric Messersmith, Fox News.
And so Scott Rowland spent, I think it was 6 or 7?
I believe it was 6.
6 years of his career with the Cardinals. So when he goes to the Hall of Fame, it's likely going to be with the Philadelphia Phillies. But he was a big part of St. Louis Cardinals history and just truly one of the best third basemen I think that the National League has ever seen.
I met Scott back
really?
during his first spring training. The morning show at the previous station I was at, we were broadcasting from spring training for a few days and had a chance to talk with him. And the surprising thing to me was he was a big guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he was around 6'4", 6'5", and husky.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I mean, really thick. And my first thought was, golly, for a third baseman, you are kind of huge here. It'd be like if I were playing third. And, when I was a kid, when I played high school and college ball a little bit, I wanted to be a shortstop. And because when I grew up, Ernie Banks and Louis Aparicio were the two that I loved for the Cubs and the White Sox. And when I got to college, the coach at St. Louis U said, "No, we need you at first base." "No, I want to play short." "No, we need you at first. We don't need a 6'5" guy at short." and I thought, well, wait a minute. The Cardinals had Marty Marion, who I think was 6'4" or 6'5". He did okay at short. He was really a very good shortstop. And he said, "No, you're tall. You need to be at first." And so we were at loggerheads.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, third. I mean, it's one thing to be tall and like really lanky.
Yeah.
It's one thing, but if you're tall and look like you could, do a
Yeah.
battle with a rhinoceros.
Yeah.
That doesn't usually lend itself to the agility needed at third base, but he had it.
And agility is the exact word I was thinking of. The guy, Scott was agile. He was a great fielding third baseman. Besides being a great hitter, he could field the position very well.
I heard one. I was listening to MLB Network last night when the announcement was made. And by the way, he was the only one elected in the entire group of nominees for 2023.
Wow.
The only one, and he didn't make it by much, but he made it. One of the pitchers who was being interviewed, who played with Scott Rowland, he described him as a vacuum cleaner at third base. Just going to grab anything and everything out there. So congratulations to Scott Rowland. You cannot take away his St. Louis Cardinals era in his career. He was still, this was not a send-off at the end of his career. He was in his prime. At least part of his time in St. Louis, he was absolutely in his prime, his early days in St. Louis. So we saw some of the best of Scott
We
Rowland.
did. I believe including a couple of World Series appearances,
Yep.
including a World Series championship, correct? In
That's
06?
right.
Okay.
Yep, that's right. And I will just go ahead and say it, the current third baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals, Nolan Arenado, my favorite player right now, I think he is on track to be the next St. Louis Cardinal third baseman inducted in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
think he has a Hall of Fame career in the making right now.
Absolutely.
And that's not just because he's my favorite player on the Cardinals.
It's funny when you guys talk about the older sports stars that I wasn't really following back in those days. I feel like, oh yay, sports ball over here. It's like I know sports things, but I don't know that, so I'm just gonna be quiet over here.
It's like when I went to the Blues game last week with Rachel and I went with another couple. She asked what time the puck off was.
Yeah.
And whose statues are those outside Enterprise
Right,
Center?
exactly. There's that one. She's like, wait a minute, is that really drunk guy? Yes, that's Brad. That's right.
Now, to be fair, basketball there's a tip off. Football, there's a kickoff.
That's right.
Why shouldn't there be a puck off in hockey?
She is a philosopher. She followed the logic.
It's a very logical argument.
And
right
we
there.
told her, I say, Patrick and I, the two dudes in this, were like, well, it's a puck drop.
Right.
And she's like, I like puck off. Like, okay. it's puck off it is. All right, you got it. All right, just ahead here, what should we make of the Pence papers? I like that term here.
Yeah.
Oh, one more news story. The Blues played a game last night. That's all I'm going to say about it because the game sucked.
Yeah. Let's not talk about it.
They'll be in Phoenix Thursday night to kick off a road trip.
And get a Sunday.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make American great again?
Live and local.
And their leadership has been substandard.
I think the word substandard is immensely polite.
This is News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Dan Ism, who has served as interim public safety director for the city of St. Louis for 2 years, is stepping down from his role, and his last day will be February 11th. Charles Coyle, longtime deputy fire chief and fire marshal, will become the next interim public safety director. A nationwide search for a permanent replacement is underway. Due to winter weather, both the Missouri House and the Senate are scheduled to start late today. The Senate will convene at 1 p.m. and the House will gavel in at 2 p.m. Committee hearings are also being pushed back. A woman who helped lure the Welcome to Sweetie Pie star Andre Montgomery to the spot where he was murdered back in 2016 was sentenced Tuesday to 3 years in prison. Montgomery's uncle Tim, another star of the reality show, was convicted in September of hiring another man to kill his nephew. A mountain lion was struck by a vehicle Monday night in Franklin County near Highway T and Old Highway 100. No one else was hurt. The Department of Conservation said on Tuesday the animal was apparently stunned but did eventually run away. And in sports, former Cardinals third baseman Scott Rowland was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame on Tuesday with 76.3% of the votes. Players need 75% to be elected. Rowland will be inducted on July 23rd in Cooperstown. And the Blues fell to the Sabres 5-3 at Enterprise last night. The Blues Blues now head to Phoenix to face the Coyotes tomorrow night. Puck drop is at 8 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Very slushy roads across the area this morning as temperatures are right around the freezing mark, but the snow will be shutting down mid-morning and conditions will improve rapidly through the mid-morning to late morning hours. And I think this afternoon's commute will just be a little bit wet. Temperatures will be above freezing today. We should make it into the mid-30s, maybe 36 or 37 by this afternoon, but turning colder overnight tonight with lows in the mid-20s and breezy and cold tomorrow with a high of 30 degrees, but a dry day. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Bill O'Reilly here, and you can hear my no-spin commentary right here at 6:45 this evening. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get ready, look what's coming down. Take a look up in the sky.
Okay, so serious question here.
Mm-hmm.
We questioned the motives of the left when the whole Mar-a-Lago documents thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Biden documents thing happened. And then happened again.
and then again.
And then happened again.
Yep.
And suddenly they're in a weird spot.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going, you guys are in a weird spot now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as Kevin Cork tells us, classified documents are now found at Mike Pence's place.
FBI agents actually came to Pence's Indiana home on the night of January the 19th to retrieve documents that the former VP himself had located a few days earlier. That is, of course, with his attorneys. Now, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer of Kentucky, said in a statement the former vice president's transparency stands in stark contrast to Biden White House staff who continued to withhold information from Congress and the American people.
Okay, so the general public is not going to make a nuanced difference between Mike Pence immediately calling and saying, okay, take these to the National Archives, because Joe Biden says he did that too.
Right.
Now, there's ongoing investigations in the Trump situation, in the Biden situation. Should there be a similar special counsel and investigation into the Pence situation? 314-912-1019, by the way. So, guys, should there be anything differently done in this case?
I don't think so. I mean, every time you find classified documents where they shouldn't be, there ought to be a standard protocol. And somehow somebody somewhere decided that the standard protocol is to have a special counsel. So special counsel here too.
You know, my mom used to say, if you're hiding something, then you must have something to hide.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that Pence is hiding anything. All I'm saying is if there's no issue, then sure, I would think he would welcome folks in. Yeah, go ahead, take a look at it. And I'm fine with it. but we'll see if that actually
But he's a
happens.
conservative. He's on our side. Doesn't that change things? If he's on our team, then don't we want to make an exception and just go after the other side?
Man, I would hate it if the ref only ever called things on one side or the other, even if it was my side, because that means I can't trust that ref.
That's a great point.
Traveling on you, buddy.
That's right.
That was a double dribble right there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And this is one of those where maybe an investigation finds out absolutely no wrongdoing other than mistakenly placed, here.
Yeah.
They could come to that conclusion with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
They could come out and say, listen, these things were unsecured. This was a breach of security. This was absolutely inappropriate and the wrong thing. Maybe that's the case. But it shouldn't be a matter of, well, go after the Democrat, but let's figure out a way to carve out an excuse for the Republican or vice versa.
Not at all.
Exactly.
If we're going to be intellectually honest, if we're going to be, if we're not going to be hypocrites, if we're going to be consistent, then we have to say what matters here is, are these classified documents important enough to protect from being in an unsecured setting? And locking it in your office in your house is not a secured setting. That's not what we're talking about here. And it doesn't matter if it's Republican, Democrat, if it's somebody we like or not. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people who change their votes in 2024 based on any of this.
No, not
I
at
just
all.
don't think so.
Unless some of the conspiracy theories about Biden come out. Although, to be fair, if that happens, they're not running him.
Right.
So
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That maybe made a really good point right there, Mike, because we have known that the Democrats can occasionally just kind of overlook gigantic, massive, deadly scandals by their people. I'm looking at you, Hillary Clinton. Yes.
May I interject one other point, too? All of a sudden, yesterday, the University of Delaware comes into the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Regarding Biden. Okay, now from my viewpoint, now you're getting serious here, because I've been focusing for months on the issue of $60-some million going to the Penn Biden Center and now the Biden Institute at the University of Delaware, which has also been funded with millions of dollars from China. Now all of a sudden they're in the picture. I don't know where it's going to go, but I find it interesting that they decided to take a look at Delaware too.
Yeah, because the first one you said Penn, you're talking about the University of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So now two major state universities are involved, and both of those are pretty significant universities.
Yes,
Yeah.
And significant funding from China for both of those quote-unquote Biden centers.
Centers or
Biden
institutes,
Institute
yeah.
at the one school, Biden Center at the other one. So what's the connection there with China and the Biden family?
Chinese money always makes me nervous.
Right. It is, but when we look at the documents themselves,
Yeah.
either they're a big deal or they're not.
Yes.
Across the board. So what I'm saying is, with for instance, the early on in the process with Biden, when they found the first set of documents, which would have been at that
Penn.
University of Penn, Pennsylvania, immediately a lot of the supporters of Joe Biden, Karina Jean-Pierre, they're like, totally different than Mar-a-Lago. These are totally different things. That's a big deal. This isn't. He found him. He turned him over. That's the end of it. Okay, well, we called out that hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Mike Pence now found these, or somebody found them, the lawyers or somebody found them, and turned them over to the Archives, Department of Justice, notified them, doing exactly what the Biden people say that their guy did. So at the same time where we say if it's a big deal for Biden, then we got to treat it right now as a big deal for Pence.
Mm-hmm.
If we say it's not a big deal for Pence, or it's not a big deal for Trump, then to be consistent, you got to say, okay, well, then maybe it's not that big of a deal with Biden. None of these cases were completely secured documents.
Right.
Now, the classification thing is, I think a lot of people are confused about, okay, so how vital are these documents? We don't know. And if they're classified, why does anybody have them in their possession when they are not in office anymore? And I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat, if they're that sensitive and they're that important and they're that crucial to keep them protected, then protect them.
Yeah. Hey, try doing the job, please.
Yeah.
And really to that, I really do wonder what are in these documents. I mean, is it like I've suggested, at least on the low end? Is it just like the transcript of two diplomats just saying hi? And it's like, oh, I thought this would be a really cool memento. This is the first time I talked to President so-and-so from this country.
Right.
Or is it, satellite pictures of nuclear site locations in North Korea? It's like, what are we talking about? Because that does change things. Because it's one thing if, I didn't do the right thing by taking this classified document, but here it was just that transcript. It was just that it was an accident. And it's another if you say, well, people I work for wanted to have this information, or there are some people who wanted to take a peek at this, so I brought it home with me one day. That's a different story.
Right.
So I want to know that story.
Well, and here's the other question it comes down to is, can the public, can we separate out the discussion over how to secure these things so it doesn't happen again from the politics and the partisanship of it?
I don't think they'll let us.
I don't think we can.
Yeah.
I think we should, but I don't think that we'll be allowed to. I think you're right. I think everything is going to be partisan shots when in reality it should be, can we just settle in on how to protect sensitive documents from anybody making a mistake like this?
I'd like the country to run, smoothly occasionally. Yeah. One day.
I don't mind the gridlock.
Well,
I don't mind that at all. But there
I'm fine with
should be
gridlock.
some things to say you don't get to take this home.
Yes, by smoothly I mean in terms of the rules. I want the rules to be applied evenly.
Yes.
I want people to know what the rules are, and I want the people in charge of those rules to do their job every time the same way.
Objectively.
Would that be nice? Would that be nice?
314-912-1019. Maybe these are a big deal. Maybe they're not. But I kind of think classified documents being someplace they're not should be treated like a big deal.
A little bit.
314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Look what's coming down. Take a look up in the sky and turn around.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Columbo and Katie.
Missouri lawmakers have hit the ground running in 2023. We'll discuss the latest from the legislative session Wednesday at 2:20 with Rodney Boyd. Then we'll open up Close's cabinet with Mark Close and Skip Weber at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
So you're shopping and realize
This looks good, and this looks good. Ooh, gotta get this.
you went to the store hungry. Big mistake.
Oh my gosh, what did I do?
The same can be said about retirement planning. File for Social Security too early, start pulling from your savings, and 2 years later...
What did I do?
Steve Hoyle, founder of the Hoyle Financial Group, is here to help. Steve offers a complimentary retirement review. Find out where you stand now and develop a written income strategy for your retirement. So instead of saying,
What did I do?
you'll say,
I know what I'm doing.
call them today at 1-800-371-6461 and ask for the retirement review at no charge. That's 1-800-371-6461 or online at retiretexasstyle.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. BWA and All Financial Group, LLC are separate companies.
Hey, it's Katie. We here at News Talk STL really appreciate the growth in our business during our first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Save Money with Doug Voss, Crypto World, and the Natural Institute of Health that have all become part of our family of advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com.
1019-941 News Talk STL.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Here's the score, people. Vic Porcelli is going to be here at about in about 15 minutes. And then after that, it's Dan Bongino on 101.9. And then after that, it's Katie and Columbo. Columbo and Katie, if you're a misogynist. And not a gentleman.
If you're doing the flip test.
Yeah. And then, of course, Chris Arps and Tim Jones starting at 3:30. And then the one and only Larry Connors at 6 o'clock right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. All right, if you're just joining us, the argument that I'm making here is I think that when we are consistent, we are intellectually honest, we win.
Yes.
That's why I say when we look at what's happening with the Pence papers, we don't know if there's anything to them or not. We know they're classified. We know that they shouldn't have been in his house. They've been returned. The Biden people are saying that's what happened with them, but except we keep finding new papers. And I'm saying treat them all equally. Treat them all and get to the bottom of each and every one. If the situations are different, then let's know that. And if everybody messed up, then let's know that too. If nobody messed up, let's know that too. Got Dave on the line here. Hey, Dave, you're on News Talk STL.
Hey, good morning, Mike. I have a crazy conspiracy theory about all these classified documents coming out right now.
Okay.
The Democrats have always shown their hand, if you really look at it. We knew Kamala was the scariest choice because Joe's crazy, and we all know this. We realize that Joe has lost his faculties. I kind of think the reason this is all in the media now is they're looking for a reason to push him out, a la 25th Amendment, and give Kamala the in their perfect world the chance to take 10 years as a president as per the Constitution. I think this was their plan all along, is to push Joe out after the halfway point, which thankfully we're on the downhill side of Joe.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the only one who thinks. I've heard a lot of people suspect that this is a way to find a way to pressure him out, or something like that to work out a deal. I have no reason to say yes or no, other than, like you said, I mean, if Kamala Harris were to assume office with less than half a term, she could conceivably serve 10 years.
You could be elected twice, but serve no more than 10. That's per the Constitution.
Yep, that's correct, yeah.
She could serve 10 years.
But would Kamala be really the choice for the Democrats? Because her likability, I think, is in the toilet.
In negative numbers.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Venn diagram that she go ahead,
Dave.
I got to tell you, Gabe, that's a perfect question for my favorite Friday segment for you guys is Get Behind Me, Satan.
Yeah. I think.
You guys have a great morning. Drive safe.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
I think that's most people's reaction to Kamala Harris. It's like, yeah, not today, Satan, because honestly, her ability to make people dislike her is off the charts from a political standpoint. I've never seen somebody so dislikable. I think even Hillary Clinton would beat her on a likability scale. Honestly, because at the very least, she could string together a sentence and give a decent speech about a topic. But Kamala Harris just seems to do, and she always goes into this child-like explanation mode, and then she repeats a certain word. She gets stuck on a certain word, and it just becomes this incessant drone. It's like a bug flying around, like one of those little gnats just flying around in your face, in your ear, or something like that. And you have a visceral reaction to her.
But when you look at the Democratic bench, like you just said, you look around. I mean, if you are the person who's supposed to get the Democrats into the presidency or keep them in the presidency, don't you look around at the Democrats bench right now and kind of feel like you're Walter Matthau managing the Bad News Bears the first time you see it?
I was like, who are these weirdos?
Yeah.
And what the heck am I supposed to do?
And why are they all coming from California?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
you know what? I'm going to toss this in there now that I thought of it with California. When her name first came on the scene nationally, Willie Brown, the former mayor of San Francisco, told her specifically, you shouldn't run for office. If they try to get you in as a vice presidential candidate or something like that, I don't think you should take it. If anybody would know Kamala, it would be the former mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown.
With obviously a lot of stories
Yes.
there. And that's all I'm going to say because I'm not
Okay.
going to cast the aspersions. But I will say that you can find at one point Kamala Harris, before she was elected Attorney General in California, was literally arm candy for Montel Williams.
I saw that video.
She was one of
Two girls.
women on either arm of Montel, some award show.
Yeah,
that,
it's like a BT
You know,
Awards or
it's a
something.
really, it's a weird thing. And, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody, we've all had jobs that we're like, okay, I'd really rather not be in my resume or something like that. I mean, I've had, you know, things that have nothing to do with what I've got to do. And I'm not going to fault somebody from coming from an entertainment setting or anything. I mean,
Sure.
Ronald Reagan was an actor, you know,
Right.
and that's the way that is. But, you know, you look at, you know, her rise to fame, she wasn't popular within the Democratic, you know.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I'm still surprised. I was surprised when she was picked as vice president.
Yes.
Just for the simple reason that when you look at the math electorally, Democrats don't need help with California.
No.
They just don't.
And she didn't help with California. I mean, they don't like her. They didn't like her when she was there. They didn't like her when she left. She didn't win like one delegate when she was running in the primaries, right?
Right.
So nobody likes her. So I could not understand that pick.
The only thing is that it was a safe place to have her leave the Senate because they're gonna elect the Democrat
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah.
So
And she
you get
checked
that.
off the boxes.
And she
Yeah,
checked some
and
boxes.
Joe Biden made a big deal of the boxes.
Yeah.
You know, he made a big deal.
Black immigrant woman. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, her daughter of immigrants.
Yeah, daughter of
She's
it. Yeah,
American,
she
but-
claims it. You know how they,
Yeah.
you know, like Joe claims to have, you know, grown up in black churches. You know,
so
it's the same thing.
Raised by a Puerto Rican family.
Yeah. My Democratic friends, I know you all cringe whenever he opens his mouth on this because I mean, you can't run from it. You can't run from these, you know, these gaffes.
Yeah.
They're out there. I mean, pretty much all of our favorite politicians for the most part have had some of these.
Yes.
But it's a regular wellspring.
He's a gaff cow.
Oh yeah.
Like he just constant production of gaffs. You can sell it by the bottle.
Yeah, that's right. So something that comes from bowls by the bottle.
I'm going to trademark that.
There you go.
I like that.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to be fascinated with where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because now we basically are in a position from a media and a political perspective where you can't separate out the three cases when we talk about it, even if we should.
Right.
Even if we say, well, there actually are differences among all three. I'm sure that there are. But from a public perspective, we're talking from those who are going to say, okay, let's get rid of the partisanship. The best thing that we can do, and probably the best thing for anybody who didn't do anything wrong, is that you say, like you said, you know, Estelle, shine the light on it, do the investigation, and if they find that you messed up somehow, you do the mea culpa and say,
take your lumps.
I did it. This is something that should not have happened. I'm responsible. Thank goodness nobody got hurt because of it. I apologize, but I'm moving on with whether it's another campaign or another whatever. Then do it. Then do it, but don't make excuses. Stop making excuses. If you messed up, you messed up. And I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I don't think you're going to lose votes over it in 2024 because all three of these guys, their names are in the circles for 2024.
Now, I have little faith that the handlers of these politicians are going to make good choices on this.
Yep.
I have almost no faith that the media is going to let us actually get to the bottom of this in a good way.
Or they're going to tell us why we have to feel a certain way about it, regardless of how it turns out.
Yeah.
If it turns out that Mike Pence or Donald Trump really didn't do anything wrong, they're going to tell us why we should be angry about it. If Joe Biden's caught red-handed with something, we're going to be told why we should be forgiving them and having grace, as opposed to everybody else. That's just the world we live in. Vic Porcelli coming your way in about 6 minutes.
News, analysis, opinion.
Dealing with the debt ceiling is their constitutional responsibility.
I would not be concerned about a financial crisis.
This is News Talk STL.
We're executing a comprehensive strategy to secure our borders.
He takes this very seriously when it comes to classified documents.
I have no regrets. I'm following what the lawyers have told me they want me to do.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
What's happening right now?
And newstalkstl.com.
Are you the type of person who loves their community and wants it to be the best it can be? Now it's easier than ever to do your part. Go to recyclemode.com to see just how easy it is to recycle the right way. Or if you already recycle and want to be as efficient as possible, RecycleMode.com can tell you what should and should not be recycled in your area. Become part of the clean recycling movement today. It's the right thing to do. Sponsored by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-649-8619. 800-649-8619. 800-649-8619. That's 800-649-8619.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green.